G'day, how are you doing? Hopefully keeping healthy and safe. I'm doing pretty well myself. And today we're going to have a look into this Acer Nitro 5. It's a gaming laptop and this is the 2022 edition. You can either get the Intel or the AMD version. Now this one I got right here is the Intel version. So it comes with the 12th gen Intel core. And it's a 8 series processor. That's the performance core. Fantastic. And to be honest, this is the very first gaming laptop from Acer on this channel. So I've got very limited experience of Acer gaming laptops, but I've got some experience of gaming laptops from other brands. As of I think the last 2 reviews I've posted up has been gaming laptops. So hopefully I'll be able to give you a bit of idea. Now we'll be testing the temperatures and fan noise. We'll have a look at some of the features of this Nitro 5 as well, and as always I will be putting timestamps along this video so you can skip to a different section that you may be interested to save you time. There are 2 types of displays you can get with the Nitro 5. We've got the Quad HD and the Full HD display. Now with the Quad HD display it can go up to 165 Hz for refresh rate, and the Full HD display can go 144 Hz. Both are matte displays and they are non-touch. Performing the ghosting test, I found there was some slight ghosting for the display, but it is very little. And for myself, who plays mostly simulation games, this isn't an issue. And I don't really play much first-person shooters, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think the results if this ghosting is very slight. Is this a big impact, or this is actually very acceptable ghosting? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And I did not find any skipping frame from the skipping frame test for this Full HD display, which is great to see. The Full HD display, I managed to measure the maximum of 274 nits or candela per square meter of brightness or luminance for the display. And I also measured the color gamut coverage of the Full HD display, and it resulted with 61.1% sRGB coverage, 42.5% Adobe RGB coverage, and 43.6% DCI P3 coverage. Now this is actually quite low, and it's not really suited for photo or video editing on this display. This is recording from the 720p webcam from the Nitro 5. This is the video and audio unedited, so you can hear and see what the quality of the webcam is like. It'd be nice to see Acer provide a 1080p option for the webcam, as we're in 2022, we're doing more video conferencing, and it would be a nice option for those who do live streaming or content creation, just to have better quality, higher resolution camera. And as always, I'm in an environment with 2 top slits currently turned on. I've got my 1 strobe light turned on, and also the downlight cylinders turned on for ambience. I'm going to turn off my 1 strobe light off, and you'll see this adjust, and the 2 downlights in front of me is a bit far away, so there's not much light hitting on my face. So this is what I consider a dark environment. Now, if you're in an office environment, you should have much more light than what I'm currently at. I'm going to turn my 1 strobe back on and hopefully see this adjust. And of course, a better quality light should give you better quality picture. Definitely love to hear what your thoughts of this webcam. Put a comment below. Let's have a look at the stability performance of the processor in the Nitro 5. We'll also have a quick play of the power settings to see how this behaves with the power settings as well. Now, this Nitro 5 is configured with an i7-12700H processor. Looking at Intel website, reports that this processor has a maximum turbo boost of 4.7 GHz for the performance cores, and the efficient cores has a maximum turbo boost of 3.5 GHz. And Windows reports that this processor has a base clock speed of 2.7 GHz. So we do want to see this running above 2.7 GHz. Would be absolute fantastic. Now, I do have this computer connected to mains power and set to best performance in the power mode in Windows Power Scheme, and also have a lot of load running on the processor, memory, storage, and also the discrete graphics as much as I can while it's running on 100% on the processor. Now, I've got this computer running on load for over 2.5 hours, and I've also got in the NitroSense. I do have it in default mode, and we will have a look at the fan. As you can see, the fan is running in close to, I'll say, an average around about 4,000 RPMs. Now, I can see that the speed of the processor is running anywhere between 2.8 to about 3 gigahertz. So I'm going to average that around about 2.9 gigahertz. So that is above the base clock speed of 2.7 gigahertz. Absolute fantastic. And the actual fan noise isn't really that annoying loud, and it's actually quite good. And we do have an average temperature of around about 88 degrees Celsius. Now I'm going to switch this Acer NitroSense. I'm going to speed it up to performance mode. So you'll see this, hopefully, increase in power. I can definitely hear that the fans are now spinning higher. I definitely hear the fans. You can see also visually it's gone a little bit higher. I'm going to try and move this across to this side here. And we can see that the processor has now definitely ramped up a bit to about 3.2 gigahertz is what I'm saying it will ramp up to. Now I do have the fans are close to about 7,000, about 6,900 is probably what I would say that the fans are. You definitely hear those fans going at the moment, and we do get quite a bit of extra speed from having the fans run it. Now I'm going to actually chuck this into maximum for this fan. So you will now definitely hear those fans running. And the thing is, it's not like a really high pitched sound. You do hear the fans. It is more like it's more like a wind sound than anything else. And we've got this up to close to about nearly 7,100 RPMs. And we do have a little bit extra getting go to maximum. So we've got an extra 0.1 gigahertz. So that's 100 megahertz extra. Oh, I just saw that went to about 3.4 gigahertz. And we do have the discrete graphics running, contributing to the heat as well. So just to give you a bit of an idea on how this performs even with the fans running at its maximum speed and seeing if it's in performance mode, how much extra performance you do get from it, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And now we have a look at the single core behavior. I'm going to start a single core task in Citybench R23, start the clock watch, and we just observe the speed of the processor. Now we've got to about 3.4, 3.5, now got to 4 gigahertz, which is great to see. That's going quite up there. And we definitely have this in performance power scheme in the NitroSense, and also best performance in Windows power scheme, and it's connected to mains power as well. And we are still at 4.1 gigahertz, I would say, after the first 30-second mark, and we're just switching between 4 gigahertz to 4.1 gigahertz. So I would say an average of about 4.05 gigahertz, just to make it easy for you guys. We're about to finish off the single core task in Citybench R23, and it's been pretty uneventful. It's pretty much very stable around about 4.1 gigahertz. As I said, uneventful is not bad. It just means it's actually very stable. It's absolutely fantastic to see. So looking at pretty much a 4.1 gigahertz stable performance for single core performance. As for the temperatures and fan noise, when I took my measurements, my ambient temperature in the room was 18 degrees Celsius and the ambient room noise was 35 decibels. Now, just to give you a reference point, your average hands anywhere between 33 to 34 degrees Celsius, so hopefully you can get an idea of how hot or how cool this laptop could be. So I took my base measurement when the computer was idle, and the hottest area on the keyboard measured in a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, hit a maximum of 35 decibels. So the laptop is silent. And the average internal core temperature was 37 degrees Celsius. Then I put 20% load on the computer, so that's light load, so that's average use. So the tasks like office productivity works, surfing the web, streaming video, and the hottest area on the keyboard also measured at a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. As for the fan noise, it did spin up to a maximum of 37 decibels, and the average internal core temperature was 51 degrees Celsius. Then I put 50% load on the computer, and the hottest area on the keyboard measured a maximum of 33 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, it spun up to a maximum of 39 decibels. And the average internal core temperature was 53 degrees Celsius. Then I put 100% load in best performance in Windows profile and default profile in the NitroSense. And the hottest area in keyboard measured a maximum of 39 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, spun up to a maximum of 47 decibels. So you do hear the fan go off a little bit. And the average internal core temperature was 76 degrees Celsius. Then I changed to performance profile in the NitroSense while still maintaining 100% load, and the hottest area of the keyboard measured a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius, and the fan spun up all the way up to 57 decibels. So you definitely hear that fan go off. And the average internal core temperature was 93 degrees Celsius. Then I changed the fan control to maximum, allowing the fin to spin at its max, and the hottest area on the keyboard measured a maximum of 36 degrees Celsius, and the fan noise hit a maximum of 59 decibels, and the average internal core temperature stayed at 93 degrees Celsius. I also measured the bottom back cover when the computer was in performance mode, and the hottest area on the back cover measured a maximum of 45 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, of course, stayed at 57 decibels. Looking at the results, the Nitro 5 has absolute fantastic temperatures. This laptop runs cool. Acer have placed absolute fantastic thermal solution for this computer with very powerful components. Ooh, absolute great. Although you do hear the fan spin up quite a bit, but you do have manual control of the fan if you want to quieten it down. So that's absolutely great to see. There are two speakers located on the bottom front on either side of the laptop. When I tested out the maximum volume of the speakers, it managed to measure in a peak of 82.4 decibels. I will consider this on the upper quiet end of the volume compared to other laptops. If you're in an outdoor environment, you could struggle a little, but this is a gaming computer, so it mostly lives indoors, and I can actually forgive it for that. As for the sound quality, we do have some low-end bass, but it is quite soft, the bass, and we have very strong highs, and it is balanced more towards the highs as well. We've got good clarity and not much distortion when this is at maximum volume. You can hear the speakers 360 degrees around the laptop. An area where Acer could work on is the acoustics of the speakers. They do sound quite flat. The weight of the Nitro 5 is 2.5 kilos plus the 230 watt power adapter becomes a combined weight of 3.28 kilos that you might be carrying around with you. The Nitro 5 comes with a 55 watt hour battery, and I managed to get 2 hours and 9 minutes in the Modern Office battery life test in PC Mark 10, an hour and 6 minutes in gaming, and 2 hours and 4 minutes for video playback in the Procom battery life test. And all this was tested with the brightness setting of the display at 200 nits. A 55 watt hour battery is kind of small, but we will see the reason for that when we have a peek at the internals. The keyboard is a full-size keyboard, and it's great to see Acer have placed the number pad on the right hand side, and I'll consider these quiet keys. They are a little bit soft. Each key has very good travel key distance, as well as being very reactive and having a nice bounce after depressing it. And we have a smooth texture to each key, and there is a very nice spacing in between. The keys are actually very well defined, and there are some highlighted keys like the AWSD and also the arrow keys, especially used for gaming. The keyboard is RGB backlit, and you can actually customize the RGB lights. It's under the NitroSense application, and it's under the keyboard on top right hand corner. And then I've got the keyboard lighting set to dynamic, so you can actually got different schemes you can choose, also speed as well, and also the direction it goes as well. And under the static, you actually find that there are 4 zones that the RGB lights is set to. Now, I'm not a gamer, and I actually would love to hear your thoughts on how you actually apply these. Now, you can actually turn them on and off, different zones. You can also change the color if you want to be. I just don't know what I would use it for, but I'd definitely love to hear what you would put or think that could be very useful having these 4 zones on different colors. Definitely love to hear your thoughts. There are 5 control light settings for the RGB backlit keys: off, low, medium, high, and very high. The trackpad is a decent size trackpad for a laptop. You don't find it overly large where you will accidentally depress it while you're typing, and it is a mechanical trackpad, so it's hinged at the top and you can depress it at the bottom. And it is multi-gesture as well, and it got very smooth glass-like texture to the surface of the trackpad. It is very responsive, and I didn't find it have any issues if I have moist fingers pressing on it and reacting to it. Having a look at the build materials as well, the build construction of the Nitro 5. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. It's pretty much made fully of plastic. It is pretty much plastic on the top. Well, it is very smooth plastic on the very top. And then we've got plastic on the bottom of the chassis, and also in the internals it is pretty much plastic as well. It is pretty good in terms of pretty much doesn't really bend too much or flex too much, which is actually good to see. And even with the keyboard support, it doesn't really flex that much down as well too while you're putting pressure, which is actually good to see. And as for the hinge wise, I'm just going to do the one finger test so I can have a look what it is. So I'll do one finger test, and it's very easy and smooth all the way through until you get to the very end. Now this, I would say, is about 140 degrees, but you can maximally open the lid part, and we'll just do the wiggle test. And with the wiggle test, the lid does kind of hinge doesn't really clamp crazy there. So there is a little bit of give for the hinge wise, and overall still it's pretty nice and durable for this computer, as you should be able to, especially the palm rest being plastic, where it lasts for quite a long time over the years. Here's the benchmarks results for the Nitro 5. This one's configured with an i7 12700H processor with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gig SSD, and the Geforce RTX 3060. So here's the results for Pass Mark, Citybench R23, PC Mark, 3D Mark, Crystal Disk Mark, Geekbench 5, Procon Office, Procon Photo Edit, Procon Video Edit, Fusion Photoshop, Fusion Lightroom, Fusion Premiere Pro, Fusion After Effects, Fusion DaVinci Resolve, Blender, Luxmark, Burmark, Octane Bench, Eugene Engine, and Spec View Pref. And some gaming benchmarks like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry New Dawn, Far Cry 6, and F1 2021. Let's have a look at the internals. First off, we need to unscrew the 11 Phillip head screws. Good to see that Acer's using Phillip heads, as it's an easy screwdriver to find, which means they're trying to make it easy to repair. Absolutely fantastic. After that, just got to pry it open. Now, undid this to speed up time. And we'll find there's a 55 watt hour battery on the bottom here, and you find the battery connector right here. Now, it's a good idea to disconnect the battery if you work on the computer, or if you have some troubleshooting with the battery or power issues. So that's the battery connector. Now underneath this battery is the CMOS battery. You can see it's poking right here, and it is connected right here. If you any got issues with the BIOS or just even clock issues, that's the connector here. Now on the left hand side of the battery, you find there's space for a 2.5 inch SATA storage. Now it's been a while since I've seen extra storage, so it's good to see Acer's been doing this, so you can actually put a large storage here. So that's good to see, and the connector for the start is just right here. Now above that, we'll find the first slot of M.2 SSD, NVMe. So we've got one down here. Now on the right hand side of here, you'll find there's another slot for M.2 SSD. I'm just going to give it, so again, it's 22.8 format. You can pretty much stick it around here, and then you see is connected right there for that screw to hold this SSD down. And then above this SSD, we've got the Wi-Fi Bluetooth module, and then on the right hand side of that, you'll see this heat shield. Now it is held by a screw. I've just undid to speed up time again, and underneath here is where the 2 SO-DIMM slot for the memory. And we'll see we've got a dual fan system, and you can see it's quite an intricate heat pipe, and it's actually a triple or quad heat pipe system here, and it does very well from our heat tests. I also want to make a special mention about the back cover. Just give it a bit of a flip, and you can see actually there is 2 heat spreaders for the M.2 SSD. Also got thermal tape to give it better contact as well. Now also on the battery and also the 2.5 inch storage here, there is a bit of foam. It's probably to help with the vibration, as well as just help with the impacts if this is dropped as well too. It's good to see that Acer are doing something on the back cover. Overall, the Acer Nitro 5 is about performance, and heck does it have the performance to match that claim. And it does have fantastic temperatures, although the fan noise is quite up there, but the good thing is at least Acer have given you the manual controls to dial that fan down manually if you want to find a good balance between fan noise and performance, which is absolutely fantastic. Acer probably can improve on the battery life and also the speaker quality. We're absolutely fantastic there. But else, what a laptop for performance wise. I love the selection of ports and where they're located as well. And I hope you find this video informative or enjoyed it. If you did and support my channel, smash that like button for me. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel by hitting that subscribe button on the screen, I do try uploading a new video every week. And if you want to support me further, I also have membership by clicking that join button as well. Try to do a little extra for those people. And as always, imperfections in life makes it beautiful and interesting. And I'll see you next video.